Good day, I am William Theo and this is PTV News Now. A Filipino-German was stabbed to death in a knife attack near Eiffel Tower in Paris. Two others were wounded, a French and a British national. The French embassy sent its deepest condolences to the family and relatives of the victim. The assailant, a French citizen, was immediately arrested. The suspect has serious psychiatric disorders, according to a report. Meanwhile, Israel and Hamas are not yet willing to return to the negotiating table to discuss a ceasefire, but Israel says it is trying to minimize civilian casualties as it continues its military offensive in Gaza. VOA's Veronica Balderas Iglesias reports.
After Israel renewed bombardments in Gaza against Hamas targets, several Palestinian families gathered Sunday at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir el-Balah to mourn the latest victims of the military offensive, as many prayed for the dead and others continued to flee. The United States affirmed that Israel is heeding its calls to minimize civilian casualties.
They published online a map of places where people could go to avoid combat. There's not a whole lot of modern militaries that would do that. I mean, to telegraph their punches in that way. So they are making an effort.
But Israel and Hamas are still reluctant to negotiate a new truce and the release of more hostages.
It fell apart because Hamas was unwilling and refused to come up with additional lists of women and children, which we know they are holding, and put them on the list so that Israel could evaluate that and we could get them exchanged.
A recently published report by the New York Times points to Israel knowing in advance and playing down Hamas's plan to carry out the October 7th terrorist incursion. The questions that the article raises, however, will need to be answered at a later time. Ron Dermer, Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, told ABC.
After the war, we're going to have a serious investigation. It's very important during a war to unite all the forces to achieve a common goal, which we all have, which is to dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, to end its political rule in Gaza, and to ensure that Gaza doesn't represent a threat to Israel, and also to return the hostages.
In Dermer's view, destroying Hamas will open the door to regional peace.
And in the context of that regional peace, we'll have to figure out how we can put ourselves on a path towards an ultimate political settlement with the Palestinians.
Meanwhile, he added, Israel agrees with the United States on the need to reduce civilian casualties in Gaza and to ramp up humanitarian assistance. Veronica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
And in Mozambique, 1 in 4 women between the ages of 35 and 39 live with the HIV virus, according to a 2021 national HIV assessment. To combat the stigma associated with HIV and AIDS, a group is working to help those living with the virus. Amarilis Jule has the story from Maputo, while VOA's Mayra de la Salette narrates.
Loss is part of Albertina Tamela's life to this day. In 1996, her husband died of complications from the AIDS virus. Soon after she found out, Tamela and her daughter both tested positive for HIV.
They told us we were HIV positive, and it wasn't easy to hear that, not for me, but because my child was only a year and 10 months. I started thinking, such a small kid having to go through treatment for life, it's hard.
Although Tamela tested positive in 1996, she didn't start treatment until 2004. By then, she had another child, a son, who is also HIV positive. Both are undergoing an antiretroviral treatment, or ART, that helps reduce the virus presence in the body down to undetectable levels that can't be passed to others.
We're doing the treatment as it should be, and thank God both he and I have an undetectable viral load. We do it every day.
HIV prevalence in Mozambique remains one of the highest in the world. About 1 in 8 adults is living with HIV, according to the National Survey on the Impact of HIV and AIDS in Mozambique, or INCIDA 2021. Women account for 15% of cases. At the Kindly Association, people living with HIV get the support they need to keep going. says Irene Cossa, Executive Coordinator at the association.
We work with people living with HIV and AIDS, orphaned and vulnerable children. We look more closely at what they need so that together we can try to bring about a response for them.
The association says personal stories of people living with the virus, like the members who shared their accounts, are found across the country. INCIDA's 2021 report points out that 1 in 4 women between the ages of 35 and 39 is infected. But of those women who know their HIV status, 97.5% are on antiretroviral treatment. For Amarilis Guli in Maputo, Mozambique, Maida de la Salette, VOA News.
This is William Theo. Stay informed, be aware, get ahead, get the news right here.